Hello, booktubers. This is Rick. I haven't been on for a while. My editions are far and few between, but Michael K. Vaughan started June on the Range, and I love Westerns. I grew up in the 50's, as you are aware if you watch any of these. And in the 50's, as a child, we had TV shows, we had books. Of course, as a child, I didn't read books. I read what we called funny books, and they're called comics now. But at any rate, we had numerous Westerns in the funny book stands, which we had the rotating stands at the edge of a counter, so that when you walked up with your mother and she had to pay for something, you grabbed something off of that stand and put it up there where she was. It was only a dime back then. And she'd either say, okay, or put that back, one or t'other. But we had numerous books that we read back in those days. I've got some examples here. They aren't the ones that I remember, but these are the ones that I could find that I've been collecting off and on for some time now. Here's one is called The Two-Gun Kid. He was one of many of the two-gun, single-gun, what have you. This is the black and white version. And then there was star of screen, Tim Holt. And I think at some time, the Tim Holt comic book, or funny book, wasn't selling all that well, so they gave him this disguise called Red Mask. And I think his sales picked up after that. This is another, this is the color version. Okay. This is Guandanaland Comics. This is a fellow who's been collecting these, and he makes both the black and white and the color. And he is selling these online. He was on Amazon, but Amazon did him dirty, and he had to go elsewhere. And I'm not sure where he is now, but you can probably type in Guandanaland Comics, and you'll find them online somewhere. All right, now this is one that was on the radio. I think they made some movies, and he was in the comic pages in the paper and the Sunday Funnies. This was Red Ryder. Everybody's probably wanted or had a Red Ryder BB gun, and this is the guy who made it popular. Of course, now I don't remember, as in the movie, the boy talking about a compass in the stock. I don't remember that. But unfortunately, this is the black and white version. But this was a very popular cowboy western back in the day when we were growing up. Sunday morning with the Sunday papers, we'd sit right there and we'd be engrossed in everything. Those days you just spread them on the floor and looked at them. Here's one that was on the radio, and they made a comic book. I'm not sure if he was in the, I don't think so. I think it was just in the funny book range. But it was Straight Arrow. And if you've watched any of these that I have made, you have seen where I talked about Straight Arrow for a while and showed the straight arrow inserts in shredded wheat boxes. This was back in the early 50s. Popular on radio, popular in the funny book range. Another one that I really liked and I thoroughly enjoyed, and I believe the very first Frank Frazetta did the cover page. It says here, artwork by Frank Frazetta and Dick Ayers. I looked through this one. I didn't see anything by Frank Frazetta, but I'm still certain that the first adventure of the Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider, not this guy who's riding around on a motorcycle with a flaming head, was this cowboy in this luminescent costume that glowed in the dark and frightened people because they thought he was a ghost. But that was one of my favorites. This was the every one of these guys that wore a mask like Red Mask or a Ghost Rider who wore this costume, they had a secret identity. And I guess that was the superhero touch that they were trying to get into the Western. Then there was the early Westerns when West was east of the Mississippi. Tomahawk. Another of my favorites, and I've collected a few of these. They're hard to find now. It was a DC comic, and I wish that they would put these in one of those omnibus books that they put out, you know, for Superman and all these. But this was big entertainment for me as a kid. Loved Tomahawk. I was a big Western fan. And then Funny Books got into 3D. Now these were, I would say, early 50s, but before 55. These comic books came out, and they came naturally with the special glasses. You had I believe each funny book had these special glasses because they would have to, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get the 3D effect. I thought I had marked where the, let's see, let me put this aside. I'm not familiar with this guy, but this was one of the cowboys or the Western. It's a 3D Blinky. I don't know who that was. I'm not familiar with him. But I thought there was, hang on. No. Forgive me, I should have been a little more prepared than this. But Sheena of the Jungle is in here. This is just examples from the different books that went for this craze. Let me see who this is. Tor. All the comics back in those days did a few issues of the 3D craze. And naturally, as children, we bought them. I remember sitting on the school steps reading my 3D comic book. And then in the funny papers, the Sunday funnies, we always had this one. This was from 59 to 77, Ricochet and Hip Shot. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this guy. He's no longer in the Sunday papers, but he was enjoyable. And then I ran across something that I had never seen before, but it was, I'm not sure even if this is the States or over in Europe, but this was Lucky Luke. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but that was a Western theme of Lucky Luke. But those were some of the Westerns that I enjoyed way back when. And I thought it might be interesting to see something besides the Virginian and Louis L'Amour and all these other normal books that you're going to be seeing this month. But I wanted to thank Mr. Vaughn for introducing June as a Western month for the past 3 years, I think. I've been following that. I wanted to thank him and hope everybody enjoys this month and reads a lot of Westerns. Take care. Till the next time, God bless.